Did you know that Max Verstappen could activate a secret clause and leave Red Bull earlier than planned? What seemed like a simple rumor could now become one of the biggest moves in Formula One history. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, does Verstappen's move to Mercedes seem crazy or a masterstroke? What's really going on behind the scenes at Red Bull, and why is Mercedes ready to take advantage of it? In this video, we'll break down everything we know about the negotiations between Max Verstappen and Mercedes for 2026, and how a clause in his contract could change everything. Max Verstappen has undoubtedly been the dominant face of Formula One in recent years. His meteoric rise with Red Bull not only led him to multiple world championships, but also cemented his status as one of the most feared and respected drivers on the grid. For a long time, his partnership with Red Bull seemed unbreakable, a winning formula that few dared to question. But like everything in F1, nothing lasts forever, and this season is proving that even giants can falter. The 2025 season has, so far, been anything but easy for Verstappen. For the first time in several years, he is not leading the championship at this point in the calendar. With 155 points to their name, they are in third place behind the two McLarens. Oscar Piastri leads with 216 points and Lando Norris follows with 201. This shift in power dynamics has set off alarm bells within the Red Bull team because it's not just a matter of points. It's a clear sign that they are no longer the absolute dominators of the category. This drop in performance is no coincidence. Red Bull single-seater, the RB21, has presented numerous technical problems that have not been effectively resolved. From difficulties finding the right balance in the car to chronic instability in tire management, the symptoms of a setback are evident. Verstappen has put it bluntly, "We've taken a step backwards," and that, coming from someone who has won with dominant cars, cannot go unnoticed. The combination of a difficult-to-handle car, increasingly tough competition, and a standings that no longer favor him has put Verstappen in an unprecedented situation in his recent career. It's no longer about winning comfortably, but about fighting to stay in the fight. Although rumors about Max Verstappen's future have always existed in the world of Formula One, what has happened in recent weeks has completely changed the tone of the conversation. It is no longer mere speculation or behind-the-scenes comments. This time, one of the direct protagonists has spoken publicly, and this has put the entire sport on alert. Mercedes driver George Russell surprised everyone by openly declaring that talks with people like Verstappen are ongoing. This statement, made during the Austrian Grand Prix, broke the tradition of absolute silence that usually surrounds negotiations between high-profile teams and drivers. The importance of this statement cannot be underestimated. In a sport where diplomacy and ironclad contracts often keep any move secret until the last moment, the fact that a regular Mercedes driver confirms that there is dialogue with Verstappen is no coincidence. Russell is not just a driver, he is also a strategic figure within the Mercedes structure, and his words do not come out of nowhere. This suggests that a calculated move is being prepared within the German team, and that the possibility of bringing in Verstappen is no longer a hypothetical idea, but a real conversation that is taking shape. Toto Wolff, Mercedes boss, and one of the most influential figures in F1 today, has also had to speak out. Although he has been more cautious in his statements, he hasn't completely closed the door. He said he sees very little likelihood of Verstappen joining the team by 2026, but then added something worth analyzing: "You don't know what will happen in 3 or 5 years." This carefully placed ambiguity is a common strategy in these types of negotiations. What Wolff is really doing is making it clear that Mercedes is exploring all options and that Verstappen remains a viable target, depending on how the contractual and sporting situation develops at Red Bull. Furthermore, there is a key context that gives even more force to these rumors: the internal uncertainty at Red Bull. With the car not performing as expected, with tensions between Christian Horner and the Verstappen family, and with the championship slipping through their fingers, the ground is becoming fertile for a possible exit. And if Mercedes sees the opportunity to add a 4-time world champion, it's only logical that they act before another team does. The real twist in this story isn't just Max's performance or the rumors coming from Mercedes. The key point, the one that could trigger a seismic shift in the Formula One grid, is hidden in his contract with Red Bull. And we're not talking about a simple termination clause. We're talking about a performance-triggered exit clause, a a contractual detail that is currently at the center of all conversations within the paddock. For months, there has been speculation about the terms that could allow Verstappen to leave Red Bull before 2028, the year his current contract expires. Some said he must fall outside the top four. Others cited internal conflicts as the trigger. But in recent weeks, the information has become much more precise, and it comes from credible sources within the Formula One world. Journalist Julianne Chirasoli was one of the first to clearly state, if Max isn't in the top two in the championship by the end of June, his exit clause could be automatically triggered. This detail has been backed up by former Red Bull driver Robert Doornbos, who confirmed that Max must be in the top two of the championship by mid-season for his contract to remain secure. This completely changes the perspective, because if you think about it, Max is currently in third place. He's not out of the top four, but he is out of the top two. What was once only a remote possibility is now a condition that has already been met. And that makes this clause a real threat to Red Bull. The implications of all this are enormous. Red Bull, for the first time in years, no longer has complete control over the future of its star driver. That clause, which was once probably seen as a mere formality, is now a perfectly valid legal option. And if Max decides to activate it, he needs no further reasons or explanations. That result is enough to break the contractual relationship, without penalties, without public negotiations, without legal drama. The door is ajar, and Mercedes knows it. This contractual detail becomes even more relevant considering the current tense climate within Red Bull. It's not just a matter of technical performance. There's growing unease between Max, his father Jos Verstappen, and certain key team figures like Christian Horner. The erosion of that relationship, coupled with the car's poor performance, creates a perfect storm. And when you combine that with a clause that could already be active, the situation becomes dangerously unstable for Red Bull. One of the most worrying factors in this whole situation lies not in the external negotiations or the contract clauses, but within the Red Bull team itself. The relationship between Max Verstappen and the team's internal structure has shown clear signs of wear and tear. What for years was a solid and synchronized alliance is now beginning to show cracks that cannot be ignored. The tension is not a rumor, it is a fact reflected in statements, attitudes, and strategic decisions that make it clear that something is no longer working as it used to. Max has always been a straightforward driver, not one to hide his discomfort. And this season, his discomfort has become visible. He has publicly criticized the RB21's behavior, describing it as unbalanced, difficult to handle, and with unpredictable reactions. In his own words, the car suffers from noticeable understeer on corner entry, which then transforms into oversteer on corner exit. That, in simple terms, means the car doesn't respond in a stable or consistent manner, which is especially frustrating for a driver accustomed to being in complete control of his machine. But the problem isn't solely technical. There's a more complex undercurrent. The silent conflict between team principal Christian Horner and Max's father, Jos Verstappen, has intensified in recent months. Although the rivalry between the two has never been explicit, it has become impossible to hide. Differences in the team's vision, strategic decisions, and even internal struggles for control within Red Bull have put Max in an uncomfortable position. Being in the middle of such tension not only affects his emotional state, but also influences future decision-making. Adding to this dynamic is the lack of results. After years of dominating the grid, Red Bull has lost that technical superiority that seemed unbreakable. The RB21, despite the multiple updates introduced, has failed to regain its advantage. Even with significant changes to the car's floor and aerodynamic design, the gap with McLaren remains noticeable. Max, who is used to fighting from the front, now finds himself running from behind, which fuels his frustration and casts doubt on the team's technical direction. When talking about a possible team change for a driver like Max Verstappen, the inevitable question is, what can Mercedes really offer him that Red Bull isn't already providing? And the answer, although it may seem surprising, is beginning to take shape clearly. Mercedes, beyond its history as a championship team, now presents itself as an opportunity for renewal, stability, and above all, freedom for a driver who currently feels trapped in the middle of technical and political tensions. The first major attraction is Mercedes' internal structure. Unlike the turbulent climate currently facing Red Bull, The team led by Toto Wolff maintains a clear hierarchy, an unbroken chain of command, and a work culture that prioritizes the long term. Toto is not only a respected leader for his tactical intelligence, but he has also proven to be a talent manager who understands the individual needs of his drivers. For Verstappen, this represents invaluable value. In an environment where his opinions are heard, respected, and translated into concrete technical actions, he could regain the motivation he seems to have lost today. Furthermore, the Mercedes car has shown consistent signs of evolution. The W16, while not yet dominant, has made clear improvements since the start of the season. The latest updates have significantly reduced the gap with McLaren and have begun to put pressure on Red Bull at certain circuits. This shows that the technical project is alive, has direction, and relies on resources and long-term planning. For a driver like Max, who bases his performance on complete confidence in the car, this constant progression is key. But perhaps the most powerful element Mercedes has in its hands is something more intangible: narrative. If Verstappen were to decide to change teams, he wouldn't do so from a position of defeat, but from one of ambition. Moving from Red Bull to Mercedes wouldn't be a step backward, but rather the start of a new cycle with an equally historic team, hungry for titles, and with the necessary space to build a project around him. In terms of legacy, this move could even amplify his image. Winning championships with two different teams would cement his status as one of the all-time greats. Nor can the media impact this would represent be ignored. Max's arrival at Mercedes would be, without exaggeration, one of the biggest bombshells in the modern history of Formula One. It would revitalize global interest in the championship, multiply media attention, and raise the pressure at each race to a completely new level. And if there's one driver who knows how to handle that pressure, who transforms it into pure performance, it's Max Verstappen. The most shocking thing is that everything could be decided in a matter of weeks. We're not talking about something distant or merely speculative. The upcoming races, the immediate results, even the communication decisions within the teams will have a decisive influence. And you, as a fan or follower of the sport, are witnessing in real time one of the most delicate moments in the relationship between a champion driver and the team that saw him crowned champion. This story is far from over, but it has already crossed a line of no return. Now it's your turn. I want to know what you think. Do you think Max Verstappen should stay at Red Bull and invest in the team's recovery? Or do you think it's the perfect time to make the jump to Mercedes and start a new era with a more stable environment and a different project? Leave me your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications.